Hey, what's up everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so assessing the Lakers a little bit, man. We obviously, as I start every video thus far over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, ain't much to talk about when it comes to this team because we're in the off season and we didn't make any trades, and it's a lot of stuff that didn't happen that was rumored to happen, and a lot of people are just kind of living out their summer. So, you know, I don't blame people for saying, yo, why are we talking about the Lakers in August? Because honestly, I think there isn't a whole lot to say. But what I will say is this. I've been trying to get a feel for the roster and try to get an understanding of what I think the roster is going to look like as it pertains to how they're going to play and stuff like that. And that's the kind of content I think this could kind of be as it goes along from here. One thing that I see about this team that I'm curious about is just exactly what type of role Dalton Knecht is going to be playing this upcoming season. What is it that is going to be on his shoulders? The one thing that I could say about Taurean Prince, who's now going to be with the Milwaukee Bucks for the year, is Taurean was one of the most efficient three-point shooters we've ever had, man. For all of his weaknesses, all of the things that he didn't do great, for, you know, he didn't slump very much from behind the arc. He could space the floor as well as any small forward that we've had in recent memory. And if we had that type of efficiency in other areas, we would have been amazing. When you remove that efficiency, when you remove that guy who's going to shoot above 40% from behind the arc on good volume, what does this roster look like? One of the problems that we've had over the last several years, before we had that Taurean Prince piece, was the consistency shooting the ball. You didn't have it. We were one of the worst three-point shooting teams, period. And we acted like it too, making sure that we had interior points to make up for it. Some of them bad shooting years, there was a Russell Westbrook in place, constantly driving at the rim. Bron also. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like we were relying too much upon the three-point shot. We had a very healthy three-point shooting diet for a bad three-point shooting team. And at times we shot a good percentage because of it, for what you would expect of the personnel. So I don't think that's going to continue. I think there are going to be some Laker fans who appreciate that kind of basketball, who may be a little frustrated, because I do expect that normal teams are going to shoot the ball probably 8 or 9 more times than our team is expected to shoot it. So I think that when you bring in a three-point shooting coach like JJ Redick, you can expect that he's going to have a more three-point shooting minded situation in place for your roster. Problem is, you didn't really address your three-point shooting problem, with the exception, and this is a huge exception, of the rookie that you bring in, who is in theory going to be a three-point specialist. So what I'm saying is, you're moving on from a great three-point shooter, but you're bringing in another great three-point shooter in theory. The problem is can you expect him to be what you needed Taurean to be as soon as you're going to need him to be it? Now, the answer could potentially be yes, because he is a 4-year, actually 5-year college guy. Because of the COVID year, they gave a lot of those guys in that generation an extra year to play in college. So he should be, in theory, way more developed than most rookies. Problem is, he's still a rookie. So do you need him to shoot as much as maybe you asked Taurean to shoot from behind the arc, or can you keep him on the floor? I don't think Dalton Knecht is a competent defensive player. And while we can look at Taurean Prince and say we were bad defensively while he was on the floor, he was developed to a point where he could play some defense and help you in some defensive situations. He could pop off the screen here and there defensively. I don't think we're going to be able to say that about Dalton Knecht. I don't think he has defensive gifts. In fact, I think he's very deficient defensively from what we've seen. And it's going to need a lot of coaching for him to get to the level that Taurean was defensively. So when I look at this roster, I say, I don't know that we're really much improved at all in that way. Because while Dalton may be able to shoot in a way that gives us the same production that Taurean does, he's an even worse defender than Taurean. So you don't know if he's going to be able to even give you come together to make the production that Taurean did. Now, he's going to drive at the rim better than Taurean. He's a much more explosive athlete than Taurean at this stage. You expect for him to be a higher volume scorer. So you do expect your team's overall scoring output to be a bit better if he's going to be your regular small forward. But that's another question. Do you want Dalton to be your starting small forward? Or do you prefer him as a rookie, older rookie, but rookie, to be a small forward, a shooting guard? And if so, don't you have enough shooting guards? Do you have enough shooting guards? And then it comes down to another thing. What do you expect from Max Christie? Is Max Christie someone who didn't get a year to develop and do all the things that he needed to do to become a competent small shooting guard, whatever small forward shooting guard he's going to be? Is he going to come in ready for the role that you're going to ask him to play? And I don't know if the answer is yes, because I don't think that we gave him enough opportunities last year to really be certain that he can do anything other than have the development year that otherwise he should have had under Darvin. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't think, especially early in the season, we're going to be very pleased with what we see from Max Christie, because I think the expectations are for him to be much better than he was allowed to develop to become at this point. That's been my thing with Max Christie. I look at this as a development year. This is basically year 2 for him. Even though he's played in the NBA for, what, almost 4 years, he didn't get any minutes last year, and he didn't get any minutes the year before that, and of course we didn't play him his rookie season. So this is when he gets to show us how much of a jump he can make without development progress. Now, he did play a little bit in the G League, but probably not as much as he probably should have played in the G League to be ready for what it is that we're asking him to be this year. So, and we just paid him, you know, and Austin Reeves, you know, we love Austin Reeves. We like what Austin's brought to the table in multiple fronts on the offensive end. But is he going to make a big jump? He, like Dalton Knecht, was drafted as a 4-year, you know, rookie. So at this point, you wonder how much upside Austin's going to have from here, or is the Austin that we've seen more so the Austin that we're going to get? And is that the right piece for what we need based on our circumstances? I think so. I don't know. I'm not convinced that he can't improve from here. I'm certainly not. But when you draft guys that are already pretty much 24, 23 years old, there's only but so much development that you're going to expect them to do. So it's like, that's really what it comes down to. You kind of are not going to be surprised if he doesn't develop much further from where you see him to be right now. So it's like, all right, we got this going on. Now I'm looking at Rui Hachimura. How healthy is Rui going to be when it starts the season? Because they shut him down in the Olympics, and he ended up having some type of calf injury. And I don't know how bad this calf injury is, but it was bad enough to shut him down for the Olympics. So is he going to start the season hobbled? Is he going to be recovering from that? Is it going to affect his training camp? Vanderbilt. Hopefully he's having a good offseason of recovery, and maybe they can start ramping up his rehab. From what I understand, he still had more rehabbing to do 2 months ago. Now, like I said, we got a full summer in place. Nobody's going to be on a basketball court for at least another 5 weeks for training camp. So there's a lot of time for him to recover that foot. I still think it's a decent bet that he's not ready for preseason based on the updates that we've received. I'd love to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. There's reason for optimism. He's a young guy, but the word was he was not exactly ready for full contact basketball as of just 3 weeks ago. So what do you think you get from him at this point? That's the question. So it's a lot of questions about our players. And then, of course, you got Ronnie James on a full contract. You don't expect for him to get many minutes. If he does take many minutes, you don't expect a whole lot of production because he's still young. Unlike the rest of these rookies, he's a freshman rookie, a true project. And you got the same issue with Jalen Hood-Schifino, who is only, what, 20 years old right now, coming off of back surgery. So not only is he underdeveloped, but he's also coming back in a rehab situation as well. You just got too much going on that isn't a bet to be ready if you're the Los Angeles Lakers. When you look at guys like Cam Reddish and the way his season ended, you didn't feel all that great about him. I think the upside is not there because he's pretty much fully developed into whoever he's going to be. And the shot is, defense is good, but it's not that great of a player at the end of the day. So it's like, what do you do when you look at that piece and add it to the rest of what it is we've been talking about here? And then you look at Christian Wood and the issues that he may have, deficiencies on the defensive end, coming back from a knee surgery himself. What do you expect for him to do for you? So it's just like, yo, man, the Los Angeles Lakers have a lot of problems from player to player to player on this roster. D'Lo Russell on an expiring contract whose value is low right now. I don't know where he's going to be 6 months from now. Is he going to be on our team? Are we going to be looking to extend him? If so, can he play good enough defense to make this a decent defensive club around the areas that, you know, AD is not affecting? I had a dream a few days ago I think is relevant to what we're talking about. I think it was the day before yesterday afternoon. I was sleeping in the daytime. And the dream that I had was essentially, it boiled down to me being in some supermarket basement, looking like in some place where you gamble, like one of them secret gambling spots. And I was talking to a representative from a team like, I think it was the Hawks. It was a lady, a female. And she was essentially asking me my expertise on the value of D'Angelo Russell if given a 4-year deal. I don't remember if she ever gave me a number on that. I don't think she even gave me a number. She was like, if I acquire D'Angelo Russell from the Lakers and intend to sign him a 4-year deal with the intention of retrading him, what do you think his value is going to be? And I told her, 0. I don't think he has a whole lot of retrade value after being signed to a 4-year deal, because I don't think people really expect much from him long-term from here. He's a player who's already fully developed to what he's going to be, and he has some key deficiencies defensively and particularly performances in the playoffs, to where those two things combine to not being very covetable from team to team to team when you consider each and every team in the league's specific needs. Nobody really needs D'Angelo Russell if he's going to have the problems that he's already proven himself to have. So it's like, if you're going to sign him to a 4-year deal, my humble opinion is you ain't going to probably be looking to retrade that thing at all. You're stuck with him, and under this CBA, nobody wants to really sign people that they're not necessarily sure they can retrade if they have buyer's remorse. And so the Lakers, with that piece being in place on an expiring deal, I don't know that you can get anything for him. And I don't know you can plan to retrade him if you do decide to re-sign him. You're stuck with him. Or you got to let him walk for nothing. Is essentially what my assessment was in my dream. This is a big year for D'Angelo Russell, because if that's what people think of him, that's what I think of him. If that's what other people think of him, or if that's what people run around telling one another, then it's going to be very difficult for him to get the type of money that he wants to get come off season next year, when there is no player option, when there's probably not going to be a market that's up for a player who doesn't play well in the playoffs and is not good defensively, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like, what do you really expect from him? I don't know. But one thing's for certain, it's not a great market for this player. And that's really what it comes down to. That's what it really comes down to. I don't think it's a great market for this player. And the problem is he's here, and the fit isn't also very good to better raise his value and show the world that he's better than what he's been. I don't think the ability to really play up his value is right here. And so just the sheer environment from which this is in, makes it so that people would otherwise not be willing to take chances. And because they're not willing to take chances, I don't know that you can really move D'Angelo Russell in a trade that you can actually win. So then you start looking at how can you make the best of D'Angelo Russell on the roster you have. And when you consider Austin Reaves being a mainstay and it being very understood that he can't play next to Austin Reaves in a starting situation, and now you bring Dalton Knecht, another piece that you're likely not going to want to move, that's likely going to be getting a lot of minutes in your situation, next to those two pieces, you're just setting yourself up to not be very good defensively outside of Anthony Davis. If those are three players that are going to be on the floor majority of the time, and then you have LeBron James, who he has to pick and choose when it's important for him to go hard in the defensive end, based on his age, based on his responsibilities offensively, etc. You're setting yourself up, unfortunately, Lakers, to be a team that's not very good defensively. Even though you have Vanderbilt, who's a great defensive player, even though you have AD, who's also a great defensive player, you do not have other mainstay pieces that have that ability naturally on the defensive end. And then when you couple that with the fact that you're bringing in a rookie coach, I just don't think that the expectations for this team should be very high right now. I don't think so. Even though LeBron and AD are playing great ball in the offseason in the Olympics, they're going to be coming back to some pieces that probably should not be asked to be stuck together. So for me, the hardest thing in the world is to convince myself that I should be moving on from picks to improve this roster. I can't see myself thinking that's a better path for the organization as a whole. While I think this roster needs massive improvement to be a champion, I don't think that I can effectively do so without swallowing a poison pill for the future of the franchise. This is what I believe. And so let me tell y'all what solution comes to me right now. The only real solution I have is something that I don't think that I want to do either. But the solution truly is to trade Austin Reaves, because he's a covetable player. For one, people actually want him on a good contract, desirable piece. So he's likely to be the one that you can move out of that circumstance for which your defense is just suffering because of who it is that's on the floor. You're not going to want to move Dalton Knecht. And even if you did move Dalton Knecht, that's not going to solve the issue. He compounds the problem, but he doesn't solve the issue by being absent, because the issue is your backcourt not being defensive at all with Austin and D'Lo down there. Now, what ends up going wrong in this quote-unquote solution is I move Austin Reaves, and then I lose D'Lo for nothing, and whatever I brought myself in place of D'Angelo Russell now isn't as talented as D'Lo or Reaves. I've gotten worse. You should, like, that's a real thing too. And so it's like you find yourself in a situation where the Los Angeles Lakers' best option is to accept the fact they're not going to be very good and live with it. I swear to you, that's what I see there. Because everywhere you look to either improve your roster, you are worsening your future by trading away picks that ultimately you may need with an older player like LeBron getting ready to retire at any moment, and you being a rebuilding team that likely ain't going to have its picks if you make a move like that. Whatever role player you bring in yourself for those two picks, that player is not going to be able to be retraded for picks in most situations, because people are going to know that's what you need. So they're going to leave you in no man's land unless you're willing to give up more than what you're asking to be, you know, than what you should be in order to effectively restart your situation upon LeBron's retirement. So you're going to be forced to move AD. And if the goal is to not be forced to do anything, then the best thing to do is just understand that you're not going to be very good this year and live with it. I think that's what I've come to terms with, is ask LeBron and AD to drag this non-defensive team as far as they can take it, and clap your hands when they get you as far as they take you, because anywhere you make any type of move is a poison pill or someone aware of your desperation to make that move, asking you to take on more of a burden in trade than you probably should be taking on for the betterment of your overall health as a franchise. I think it's going to be on J.J. Redick, a rookie coach who's never coached a single team of any kind of real professional basketball, to pick player combinations in his rotation that find a balance of utilizing strengths and not compounding weaknesses. Meaning, unconventional lineup choices, which is kind of what Darvin did, but you got to do it in a much more effective way. You got to find another way to do it. You got to pick certain players that you need to showcase, and you need to find lineup rotations that showcase specific players. That way you can raise their value, give the guys of them having a tremendous year, and trade them for pieces that make sense. That should be the goal for a guy like J.J. Redick. Because at the end of the day, you got pieces on your team that should not be played together, but don't necessarily need to be moved, if not for the sake of them being bad fits. And while this season is one you want to focus on, it's not the end-all, be-all to your franchise. And some of these pieces you're going to move to make the fit better are likely pieces you're going to want next year and the year after and the year after that. So it's like, these are things that need to be considered. We got to figure out who should stay, who should leave, who can be showcased to look good with these complementary pieces around them, all while managing AD and Bron's health, who are playing basketball right now instead of resting their old bones. So it's like, this ain't a good situation. I know people are excited about the Lakers because we have Bron and AD playing at a high level in the Olympics. But I'm telling you, you got far too many unpredictable, unproven pieces relying upon one another surrounding those two Hall of Famers. Pieces that should not be stuck together at all. And unfortunately are not movable in the circumstances that they're in. And when you look at the collective bargaining agreement and the circumstances surrounding building a team right now, it doesn't look like there's an easy fix for any of these problems. So I think the truth is, I think a lot of Laker analysts are being kind about this roster, to be honest with you. I think it's probably a little worse than we're probably letting it on to be. Because at the end of the day, the path to making it better isn't simple. And the players we want on the floor the most shouldn't be on the floor with one another. And you don't have a coach in place that should, in theory, have any clue as to what the hell he's doing. He shouldn't. He's never done this before. So it's not that I'm saying, oh, he's an incompetent nobody. No, I'm saying this is just like anybody else who's never done a job before. It stands to reason why they're not going to come in an expert. That's not how being a rookie to anything actually works. So this could be a worse season than last year. In fact, I don't know if the Lakers can make the playoffs this year, to be honest with you. I don't know if I have us making the playoffs this year. Because most of the West, while I don't argue that the entire conference has improved, I can say that some of the teams that were good got better. Some of the teams that were not so good have improved. And some of the teams that you would say fell off a cliff didn't fall off a cliff enough to not be in the mix. You know, that's the problem. Teams like the Rockets, I think, are better. Memphis is now a contender again. Minnesota didn't go anywhere. Dallas didn't lose enough to feel good about them losing so many games to make us feel like a bad team like us. Not bad, but a not great team like us can just push past them with ease. Same thing with the Clippers. They got enough role players of a high enough caliber and the ability to potentially play up some of those role players to maybe trade them for something midway through the season to see them being able to squeeze into the play-in tournament. Sacramento Kings with DeMar DeRozan. They're a much better basketball team in theory. So it's like there's a lot of stuff in the West that makes you say a team like the Lakers haven't improved enough to keep up with the improvements or the steady nature of the other teams around us. And there's so many competent teams in the West, you probably don't like us as much. New Orleans is much better now that they have DeJounte Murray. you would have to assume that they're going to be a much more cohesive offense out there. So your real hope is that some of these teams either have injury issues, knock on wood, you don't really want that, or decide they want to tank because there's an opportunity at a really nice draft this upcoming season. Other than that, if everybody plays up to the level they're supposed to play, you're probably the 11th, 12th best team in the West. And that's without any more injuries. And so it really comes down to this. If that's unacceptable to you, the only thing I see that could be feasible is probably trading Austin for a piece that makes it so that you can keep D'Lo and connect on the floor together without having Matador defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I see there. You got to get yourself a defensive two. A Bruce Brownish type piece, of whom, if it, in a nutshell, I would much rather have Austin than Bruce, to be honest with you. Especially at this stage in the game, at that price. But it's like your fit is trash. You can have all these great pieces that you love so much, but if they don't fit, they don't fit. That's what it really comes down to. It doesn't matter if you love them. It doesn't matter. Because they don't fit. They have to rely upon each other, and their weaknesses are exposed more so than their strengths. And with our timeline being absolutely win now, we're nowhere close to where we want to be to have the confidence necessary to say that we're going to be a good team. Nowhere near it. With a rookie coach, underdeveloped players, because of the coach that we had last time didn't want to develop anybody, refused to play Max Christie. 17th overall pick last year turned into nothing with Jalen Hood-Schifino probably still not ready to play. Vanderbilt not ready to play. Wood, who knows how he's going to be coming back from this injury. Jackson Hayes, underdeveloped, not so great. Cam Reddish had a player option, gets to come back, and you want him gone. It's like, where do you see actual good team here? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't see one. Rui Hachimura with the injury. Hopefully he comes back 100%, but like, the pieces don't fit, Laker fans. That's what it really comes down to. Yeah, we got Bron and AD, but the stuff surrounding them, it's not what it needs to be for the timeline to really make any sense. And that's why I've been on the record saying many times that I genuinely think this team should have blew this thing up. It's not because I think something of negatively of AD and Bron. It's because you can't get good enough to make them make any sense. You really can't. Unless some stuff goes in the direction it doesn't look like it's about to go. Dalton Connect be rookie of the year. Jalen Hood-Schifino come back, a big-time player. Rui Hachimura jump significantly. Austin Reeves has to play like damn near an all-star. Just for your team to be good enough to do what it is that its timeline demands of it. It's not a good situation. And so, did I come here to be doom and gloom? Not necessarily, but I did want to bring about realistic expectations for what I think this team can do. Because it ain't much. It ain't much, man. You got too many things going wrong. You see what I'm saying? In individual players, too many things going wrong. This guy don't have no value, can't play defense. That guy don't have no value. This guy is not ready. That guy's not ready. This guy's not going to be ready for a couple years. That guy's not going to be ready for a couple years. This guy, it's like... And then your rookie coach, who's never coached a person over the age of 10. It's just, it's not set up for you to win, LA. I'm sorry. It's just not. I'm a Laker fan of over 30 years. I know when a team is good enough to win something. This team is not good enough to win anything. At all. I don't genuinely think at this point, based on what I see, that this is a top 12 team in the Western Conference. I don't. I think we're a bottom 3-4 team in the West right now. And that's unfortunate. Because we really do have a timeline that demands us win right now. And the thing about it is, I like our players. That's the weird conundrum of all this. It's just I don't like them next to each other. I like our players. I don't like them next to each other. Not in a win now timeline, especially. And so, I don't know what to say, man, other than that. I think I would love for this to age poorly. Obviously, with Bron and AD, anything could be possible if they play at a great level. Maybe they can just give them the ball 100 times in a row. You know, that style of play, if creative enough, can really change everything. Because I could argue, maybe you just give the ball to Bron and AD 40 to 50 times a game. It's a totally new coach, so I don't know what JJ's going to see there. He's an excellent basketball mind. For all I know, he just give him the ball 100 times in a row. We've never tried that. You see what I'm saying? We always have diversified to let these guys showcase whatever it is they can or cannot do. That was our style. That was Darvin's style. Put them out there, even if they're not Chiefs. We give them the ball 8, 9 times. D'Lo gets his touches. Austin gets his touches. A real diversified thing. I genuinely think that Darvin had a thing for giving people who were not very good opportunities. I really believe that. For better or for worse. He had a soft spot for the average guy or the below average guy. And so he would allow guys to play roles that maybe their game did not dictate should be given to them. You know, he did that. With this coach that we have coming up, JJ, maybe he has an entirely different approach, and he doesn't want to play guys that can't play. He may shrink our bench down to like 7 people, push all of our best chips to the front of the line, and just lives with whatever he can. Maybe you get an entirely different look there. Maybe he wants to shoot 53s a game. Who knows? Maybe we lose even more games. I'm not sure. But who's in control of the roster does determine a lot of what it is that roster is going to be able to accomplish. So I'm hopeful that with whatever JJ is intentional in doing, it will bring forth a different look so that whatever this team look like, it can do different things than what we saw last year. That's the real hope. That's the hope, that we get an entirely different or better, improved dynamic than what Darvin Ham was having out there doing it his way. Because what you end up getting rocked to sleep and believing is that the way you saw is the way it is. No, that's just the way it is under that coach. So, I mean, we'll see, man. We have no idea what this man's tendencies are. We have no idea what his philosophies are. We don't know what type of players he likes to play. And unfortunately, he doesn't know either because he's never been in a situation. So, it's touch and go. And I just don't think that you can expect a whole lot from this roster this year based on that alone. Even if you did have all the great pieces and everything in place, you got a coach that's never coached a team running the show. So it's not a great situation, but at the same time, you still have Bron and AD. So you hope that they can get the most out of this and put themselves in the best position to drag all of this as far as it can go. And again, you just want to showcase whoever you're capable of showcasing. If you can make it so that a player looks his best for a good 3 or 4 games straight, maybe you could take that time, trade that player, get something for him. Because that's really what it's about. Trying to get some of this stuff that doesn't have good value, some value underneath it, so you can trade it for the pieces that ultimately will improve your roster. Maybe showcase Vanderbilt somehow, if he's healthy enough to start the season. Get Jalen Hood-Schifino out there. Showcase him. Find ways of making him look good out there. These are the things that I really think JJ Redick is responsible for doing in the first half of the season. And then it's on Coach Rob Pelinka, GM Rob Pelinka, to put himself in a position to have the leverage necessary to get the best trades possible. And if there's no trade to be made, don't just be doing trades to be making them, because that's the kind of crap that got us in this trouble in the first one. So that's really what it is, man. Accepting your fate and then finding opportunities to showcase players and capitalizing on those opportunities, trading those players when you have an opportunity and not having no feelings about it. That's what you need to do, man. Otherwise, I don't see no way to improve this team. That's what it really comes down to. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDO44, and I thank you all for watching. Bye.